Welcome to KBS World Radio, everyone. Thank you for joining us on the weekend edition of Korea Book Club, where we play back our book segment from Wednesday's Korea 24. Here, we discuss what's happening in the world of literature with a focus on Korea. This is what we covered earlier in the week. Stay tuned.
And joining us in the studio, we have our literary critic, Barry Welsh. And thank you for joining us.
Oh, hello. It's great to be here. Great to see you again.
And what book are you introducing us, our listeners to this week?
Okay, so today I am very excited to introduce you to a short story that was newly published just a month or two ago in English. It's the first time it was published in English. It's called Plastic Rice, and it's from Nabiwabook Publishing House. The author is Kim JooWook, and the translator is KHU. And I wanted to highlight the excellent work of this relatively new sort of publishing house because they're new and because they're doing something interesting. And their name, Nabi, comes from the Korean word for butterfly, which symbolises, they say on their website, the resilience and beauty that emerges through adversity. And just like a butterfly drying its wings before taking flight, the stories that they publish are designed to help readers find their own strength and hope. And so the work they've been doing is very interesting. I only just became aware of it, and so I wanted to talk about that today. So they seem to be sort of focusing on publishing short stories online and focusing on exciting, lyrical, thought-provoking works from up-and-coming Korean authors as opposed to more established writers. And so they offer their ebooks, which you can find very easily online. They're in you can get the Korean version and the translated English version as well. And I think the goal is just to make it easier for people to access Korean literature and Korean culture and just sort of spread these stories around the world. And they say, like, for the very nice little imagery that they have to describe their goal is to give readers the wings they need to navigate their own journeys and to instill a sense of hope, no matter how long or challenging the path may be. I think they've published about 9 stories so far, and the latest one is the one we're talking about today, Plastic Rice. I thought it was a beautiful story. I enjoyed it a great deal. And so please, yes, just join us as we talk about this new short story from a new publishing house, which is deeply sad, very moving, very poignant, and is also a love letter to Koreans' passion for rice, and also has some rather painful insights about modern Korean society.
And can you outline the story of this short story?
Okay, of course. So it's a short story, so they're going to full spoilers. So if you don't, it's difficult to talk about without really hinting at the big events in the story. So if you don't want to know the plot, just go and find the story online and read it and then come back and listen. But it's like I said, it's a very poignant story. It's an exploration of regret, love, and also economic struggle in there. So it follows a middle-aged Korean man. He spent 30 years working in a low-paying and unhealthy factory job, only to be discovered that he's going to be laid off. And the reason he's being laid off is because he's developed health issues from his exposure to the toxic chemicals working in this company. He shares his life with a younger woman, and like a slightly younger woman, who also has a sort of menial job which has its own negative health impacts. And they're a relatively happy couple. They dream of having a baby, but they're constantly worried about money, about their finances. They take a big risk by starting a food truck with a bank loan, but eventually they face bankruptcy because a big chain opens nearby and the vendor prices go up. And this is a depressingly common story, I feel. And then tragically, his wife develops a health issue and passes away. And so now the man is alone. He's filled with regret for not appreciating his wife and the care that she put into cooking for him. And you can just feel that one of the best things about the story that Kim does is you can just feel this regret and shame just emanating out of this sort of very sorry man who was kind of a neglectful person when his wife was alive. But the story focuses on these themes, so very deep themes of regret and appreciation. It highlights how we often overlook the efforts of those we love the most until it's too late. And it also sheds light on these sort of harsh realities and the economic struggles and just general class inequality and the sort of devastating impact that these can have on health and well-being. And ultimately, it's a story about love, loss, regret, and just the pain of realising what truly mattered only after it's gone.
Well, and how about this imagery? You talked about the imagery of rice. We talk about rice as if it's the epitome of our life, of our culture. And how is it weaved into the story itself?
Yeah, so the fantastic element of the story. So, like you said, so rice is, of course, a sort of fundamental aspect of Korean life. It has a deep emotional meaning for many Korean people, right? And it plays a very powerful symbolic role in this story. Very sort of used in several different ways. So I'll just sort of talk about a couple here. So there's this rice imagery which is woven throughout the narrative in a variety of different ways. And Kim does this to very cleverly and sort of subtly just weave together these themes of regret, love, and economic struggle. These sort of different ties sort of get bound together through this sort of rice imagery. And so throughout the story, the man's wife, he remembers, he has these painful memories of his wife lovingly preparing a fresh bowl of rice for him straight from the rice cooker. And this, it's a simple act, but it's a very profound act of care. But he fails to appreciate this until after her death. And that this every day a staple of food symbolises the nurturing and the love that went unnoticed into his daily life. And it just really brings through this sort of theme of regret and just realisation that that it's too late now, it's gone. And this sort of dawning awareness that happens on and through the story is really quite painful. And so he remembers this sort of love and care that his wife put into making this simple but beloved food, but he never once showed his appreciation. And it's just a painful fact now. I would love to say that there is some hope, but the story seems to be lacking in hope, I'm afraid. So another element of the rice imagery is that this factory that he works in is a factory that makes like plastic mouldings or like mannequins in shops, and they're made out of very, very tiny little pieces of plastic, which he thinks look like rice, little bits of rice. And this plastic rice that he finds in his work environment, this becomes this sort of symbol of this sort of dehumanization that he's been put through in this unhealthy work environment, right? And this plastic rice it's sort of contrasted with the steaming fresh rice that his wife had used to make for him. But really, that plastic rice is about this sort of economic struggle, just the detrimental effect that those types of jobs have on people. And then finally, you were hoping for a moment of hope, but really it kind of ends on a moment of despair or sadness. So the man, it ends with this act of the man making a bowl of plastic rice, and he sits down to eat this bowl of plastic rice, and it's tragic and it's pathetic, and it just sort of encapsulates this sort of sense of loss and loneliness and just this void that's been left by his wife's death. And it really, this is a story about people who have been ground down into little bits of fake plastic rice by an economic system that doesn't care about them. The plastic rice that doesn't have nourishment or warmth. The real rice that's love and care and tenderness. And so it's very powerful imagery, and it's this sort of the real rice and the plastic rice ties these these themes together of regret and love and economic struggle, and it's just a very clever story which shows how the simplest things, the mundane things that we might take for granted, often carry the deepest meanings.
Well, thank you, Barry, for bringing us this unique and poignant tale, and I'll see you next week.
Okay, take care.